Subscribe Tag TV YouTube channel and press the notification button.
You're watching Tag TV.
Hello viewers, welcome to Newsweek South Asia, a program that talks about breeding of terrorism and its impact on South Asian nations. Let's begin with the headlines first. Pakistan intensifies cross-border shelling at LOC amid coronavirus pandemic. Deadly blast rocks maternity hospital in Kabul. European parliamentarians slam Pakistan for silencing the voice of political dissidents and exposing the leadership's claim Pakistan's medical staff protest against poor working condition. Even the COVID-19 pandemic has not flattened the curve of violence and terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir, aided and supported by Pakistan. It is trying hard to whip up havoc and violence through continuous ceasefire violations to infiltrate terrorists into the valley. However, Indian security forces have been successful in busting all the nefarious anti-India plots hatched in Pakistan. A report.
Frustrated by repeated failures at fomenting terror in Kashmir, the Pakistan Army has intensified the range and frequency of cross-border firing at the line of control. While Indian security forces are successfully eliminating major Pakistan-backed terrorists who infiltrate into Indian territories under the guise of cross-border shelling, Pakistan is busy targeting innocent civilians living at the border to avenge its defeat. Last week too, Pakistani troops violated ceasefire by firing with small arms and intense shelling with mortars along the line of control in Poonch district of Jammu and Kashmir, which led to civilian injuries and casualties.
अभी हमारे पास एक पेशेंट आया हुआ है जो क्रॉस बॉर्डर फायरिंग में निसार अली 75 साल का है। ये कस्बा से आया है। ये इसको क्रॉस बॉर्डर फायरिंग में लगी है, चेस्ट में राइट साइड पे काफ़ी ज़्यादा लगी है। पेशेंट की हालत अभी ख़राब ही है।
With coronavirus pandemic spreading everywhere, Pakistan is trying to take advantage of the crisis and push terrorists into the Indian territory. The onset of summer, particularly once the snow begins to melt, is another reason for an unusual spike in the attempts of cross-border infiltration in the last few weeks. As per data published on 7th May 2020, Pakistan violated ceasefire on the LOC more than 1,550 times since January against 3,289 violations during the entire year in 2019. This is nothing but Pakistan's old cheap tactic to mobilize the world opinion on Kashmir issue in its favor, as all of its attempts at selling a false anti-India narrative to the world has failed miserably. However, the Indian Army is all prepared to undertake operations across the full spectrum of conflict and is all set for every contingency.
Winter months are generally a little low-key, and with the improvement in the weather, with the snows melting, there is always periodic spikes have always been there. That is the pattern of the many years past, so there is nothing untoward in what has happened this year either. We were expecting that after 6 months of hiatus and not having been able to garner any support internationally, Pakistan would try to do some extra actions to try to draw attention back to the Kashmir issue, but we were aware of such a situation that might develop, and we are well prepared to tackle any such incidents starting in the future.
This period has also witnessed the emergence of a new terrorist organization in Kashmir, the Resistance Front, which not only claimed the most recent Handwara attack but also took the responsibility for the infiltration attempt in Kupwara's Kairan sector in April. Security agencies believe that it is an offshoot of Pakistan-backed terror group Lashkar-e-Taiba, which has been under pressure due to the monitoring of Pakistan-based terror groups by Financial Action Task Force. Indian Army Chief, however, suggested that this new group should instead be called Terror Revival Front, as it is created by Pakistan to accomplish its unsuccessful agendas to inflict any damage to India.
Well, I would rather call it Terror Revival Front, because that's all it is. It is another terrorist organization by another name. There should be no doubt about that whatsoever. And this is a terrorist organization supported by its proxies from across the border, and we have no doubt that they have got foreign support. And over the years, a number of terrorist organizations have come up with different names, but that's what they are, terrorist organizations, and they will be dealt with appropriately.
Currently, when the entire world is busy fighting with COVID-19 pandemic, Pakistan is focused on aiding and abating terrorism. Pakistan Army generals who are at the helm of forming policies against India must realize at this point that all their strategies have proven to be counterproductive.
Pakistan's barbaric strategy to unleash terrorism is continuously exerting its influence in the war-torn Afghanistan. The country is witnessing constant attacks ever since the signing of the historic peace deal between the United States and the Taliban. In recent horrific tale of terror, terrorists stormed a maternity hospital in Kabul, killing newborns and pregnant women. And the bloodshed continued with a suicide bomber targeting a funeral in the eastern province of Nangarhar on the same day. These attacks have once again raised the concerns regarding the vulnerable situation of Afghanistan amid the revival of dreaded terror groups on its soil. A report.
A spasm of violence on 12th May left dozens of civilians dead in the war-torn Afghanistan. In one of the most barbaric attacks in the country, 3 gunmen stormed a maternity hospital in Kabul, shooting mothers dead with the newborns in their arms. At least 24 people were killed in the hospital, including 2 newborn babies, mothers, medical workers, and a police officer.
یک نفر به مسلح فهمیده در لباس قطعه خاص داخل آمد و اینجا 3-4 نفر که داخل تلاشی میکرد سیاسرا و مرداره و را زیر گلوله گرفت و 4-5 نفر هم زخمی.
Security forces evacuated more than 80 women and infants from the hospital, where the international humanitarian organization Doctors Without Borders runs a maternity clinic. Soldiers were also seen carrying newborns out of the hospital compound, wrapped in blood-stained blankets.
به تعداد 19 نوزادی که به شفاخانه ما آورده شد از طرف کابل آمبولانس نیروهای امنیتی که 2 نوزادی که از اونا مادرشان زنده ماندن و همراهشان هستن. 5 طفل دیگر ما که هستن از اقارب نزدیکشان زن کاکایش و خارجشان میشه هستن همراهشان و 12 طفل دیگه ما که هستن اونا بدون پایواز شاید که مادر خود از دست داده باشه.
While security forces were scrambling in Kabul, the eastern province of Nangarhar witnessed another deadly attack where a suicide bomber blew himself up during the funeral of a local police commander. The attack killed at least 24 people and left 68 others injured.
زنمرگ برید شوه دی متاسفانه په دې پیښه کې 15 تنه شهیدان شوي دي چې په شهیدانو کې د ولایتي شورا غړی عبدالله ملکزی چې فضل خان مشهور دی دا هم شامل دی همدارس تر 45 شاوخوا کسان ټپیان دي.
The Islamic State's Khorasan province quickly claimed the responsibility for the attack on funeral in Nangarhar province. However, no group claimed responsibility for the attack on maternity hospital. At the same time, the Taliban specifically denied its involvement in both the assaults, saying of the funeral blast that it condemns such actions. But coming after weeks of Taliban attacks, Ashraf Ghani blamed the Taliban for the bloodshed and ordered the Afghan forces to abandon the active defense posture they had been using since the signing of US-Taliban peace deal and return to offensive attacks against the insurgents.
اوربند او سولې لپاره د ولس علماء کرامو حکومت او نړیوالې ټولنې د بار غوښتنو باوجود لا هم طالبانو له جنگ او افغان وژنې څخه لاس نه دی اخیستی او زموږ په هیوادوالو عوامه ځایونو یې خپل بریدونه زیات کړي دي. نو د هیواد د دفاع د هیوادوالو عوامه تاسیساتو د امنیت او خوندیتوب او د طالبانو او ټولو تروریستي ډلو او ګروپونو د بریدونو او تهدیدونو د دفع کولو او د دوی د ځپلو په موخه د هیواد امنیتي او دفاعي ځواکونو ته دستور کوو چې د دفاعي حالت پر ځای برته تعرضي حالت اختیار کړي او دښمن پر وړاندې خپل عملیات پیل کړي.
Several intelligence reports suggest that the recent spate of deadly attacks was planned on Pakistan soil with the support of its nefarious intelligence agency ISI. Pakistan, directly or indirectly, has always aided and abetted the Taliban and its dreaded militant group, the Haqqani Network, and has been using these terrorist groups as its proxies to serve its own security interests in Afghanistan. They have constantly been carrying out horrific attacks in Afghanistan as an attempt to undermine the legitimacy of the Afghan government. However, after signing the peace deal with the US, the Taliban has been under pressure to reduce violence and enter into talks with the Afghan government. But the procedure has been plagued by delays. Although in the peace deal, the Taliban has pledged to prevent Afghanistan's territory under their control from being used by terrorist forces, this constant wave of attacks in Afghanistan has once again raised the concerns about the country's future. However, in a statement, US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo condemned the hospital attack as an act of sheer evil and urged both sides to find a solution to the political crisis. He said that the Taliban and the Afghan government should cooperate to bring the perpetrators to justice. As long as there is no sustained reduction in violence and insufficient progress towards a negotiated political settlement, Afghanistan will remain vulnerable to terrorism. But the Taliban has consistently rejected calls for a ceasefire. Till the time Pakistan is providing shelter to Taliban's top leaders to operate from its territory, the endgame in Afghanistan cannot be played behind Pakistan's back or to its exclusion.
Pakistan, which is globally known for sheltering dreaded terrorists and drug smugglers, has become unsafe for political activists and journalists. There are a rampant rise in the cases of target killings and torture by state and non-state actors in the country. Recently, members of the European Parliament, experts and political leaders from Pakistan virtually discussed the growing threats to human rights activists and other intellectuals in Pakistan amid COVID-19 outbreak. We have a report.
The brutal killing of Arif Wazir, a Pashtun political activist and leader of Pashtun Tahaffuz movement outside his home in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, has sent shock waves to Pakistan and rest of the world. Prior to the shooting, Arif Wazir was arrested by police in Wana on account of a speech he made during a visit to Afghanistan, which was considered anti-national. He spent 10 days in prison before being released on bail on 27 April. The human rights defender was shot 4 days later. Arif Wazir was a vocal critic of human rights violations by the military and has led public campaigns and peaceful protests calling for peace, accountability and redress for human rights victims and an end to discrimination against Pashtuns. Silencing the voice of dissent in Pakistan, has once again been condemned by European parliamentarians and think tanks as they virtually discuss the issue amid COVID-19 outbreak.
On one hand, the world at large is baffled with the coronavirus pandemic and has been adopting coordinative and cooperative approach to deal with it. While, on the other hand, the Pakistani administration, especially its infamous spy agency, ISI, is making full use of the world's COVID-19 distraction to kill political dissidents, including leaders of the Baloch and Pashtun movement.
Pakistan Army and Intelligence Agency, the ISI, are constantly targeting human rights defenders in the country and even those settled abroad. The discovery of the dead body of missing Baloch journalist Sajid Hussain in Sweden few weeks ago clearly signifies the modus operandi of Pakistan's inter-services intelligence, which uses all its devious methods going beyond its boundaries to suppress the voices of free press.
If the Pakistani forces have the guts to kill the dissident voices on foreign soils, then the world community has at large worries about the situation of human rights defenders, journalists, women, minority communities, and other vulnerable section of the society.
A large number of political activists, doctors, journalists, and other intellectuals from Pakistan's Balochistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and Sindh provinces have been abducted, and many of them tortured and brutally killed. The virtual conference was also joined by Baloch and Pashtun activists who are now living in forced exile.
The Pakistani authorities have established death squads, killing squads, not only in Pakistan, but now they are operating outside Pakistan also. And the people like us are the most important targets. So I think the European Union and especially the important countries of European Union like France, Germany, should take important steps to prevent this.
Some researchers believe that religious extremism is being taught in madrasas of Pakistan to instigate Islamic fundamentalism that acts as an indirect weapon against the minorities and human rights activists.
Besides the use of direct force, other instrument by the central government to keep the political secular opposition in check in Balochistan and other areas is the promotion of extreme Islamist madrasas instead of investing in the build-up of secular educational institutions. By mentioning these measures by the central authorities, it is essential to point out that this got slowed down only temporarily with the outbreak of the coronavirus in Pakistan. However, there are clear indications that Islamabad is using the distraction of the international community and the observers to push them with new vigor.
The human rights defenders are paying a heavy price amid growing nexus between the military and terror groups in Pakistan.
Moving on, Pakistan's duplicity has been exposed on dealing with COVID-19 pandemic. Recently, Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi was nearly boasting about Pakistan's medical facilities and cooperation in fighting COVID-19 in the recently held virtual Shanghai Cooperation Meet. On the contrary, the doctors dealing with the pandemic in Pakistan protested against poor working conditions and lack of preparedness. SCO member countries have shown commitment towards fighting the pandemic. We have a report.
Pakistan has been miserably failing in fighting the medical emergency of COVID-19 that is now rapidly spreading its wings in South Asia. The hardline Islamist ideology is taking a toll on the public health as the civilians don't have appropriate medical guidelines and the administration is clueless about the execution of the preventive measures. The doctors have been urging the government to put a curb on religious gatherings and provide better medical facilities. But paying no heed to their advices and reasonable demands, the establishment has eased the lockdown during the Islamic holy month of Ramzan, leading to increased chances of spike in the number of COVID-19 cases in the country.
अब ये कह रहे हैं मस्जिद खोले, ठीक है खोले, मस्जिद अच्छी बात है, इबादत होनी चाहिए, हम तो खुद कहते हैं, लेकिन अब ये कि वहाँ पे आप रोक सकेंगे किसी को 500 बंदे को, 400 बंदे को, 1000 बंदे को आप रोक सकते हैं मस्जिद में जाने से? वो कभी भी नहीं होगा, ये लिख के देते कि ये कभी नहीं हो सकता.
The country's External Affairs Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi was seen playing defensive card in the virtually held Shanghai Cooperation meeting, where he spoke about Pakistan's coordinated response to COVID-19, covering the public health. Qureshi's fabricated scenario on well-facilitated medical system soon got exposed as dozens of members of the Sindh Young Nurses Association boycotted work at hospitals and staged a sit-in protest outside the Karachi Press Club on the International Nurses Day. The protesters claimed that although the nurses in the Sindh province had been putting their lives at the risk due to COVID-19, the provincial health department continues to deny them coronavirus risk allowances or health professional allowances.
हमारे जो नर्सेज हैं 40 से ज़्यादा नर्सेज इस कोरोना वायरस का शिकार हो चुके हैं. एक मेल नर्स हमारा एक्सपायर हो चुका है और इस वक्त हम विदाउट पीपी किट और विदाउट जो है मतलब सोल्जर को जो गोलियां और बुलेट के बगैर जो भेजी जाती है हम उस तरह की लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं. हमें तो सबसे ज़्यादा इनको अप्रिशिएट करना चाहिए, मगर हम इसके बावजूद भी सिंध गवर्नमेंट की इस नाअहली को छुपा रहे हैं कि हम तमाम सामान ना होने के बावजूद भी अपने काम को जारी और सारी रखे हुए हैं. मगर अब सिंध गवर्नमेंट की जो हम इस बेइज्जती को बर्दाश्त नहीं कर सकते और अब हम मजबूर होकर हमने अपने एहतजाज का रास्ता अख्तियार किया है.
Despite a severe economic fallout during the ongoing pandemic, Pakistan has not stopped its terror activities. In fact, it is giving relief to imprisoned prisoners by setting them free as an excuse to maintain social distancing. Taking note of Pakistan's sponsored terrorism and its favors towards terrorists, India's Foreign Minister S.J. Shankar called out Islamabad in the SCO meeting for spreading something which is even more dangerous than COVID-19, that is, the terrorism.
Even as the world fights COVID-19, some are busy spreading other deadly viruses, such as terrorism. Fake news and doctored videos are also used to divide communities and countries. But today, let us focus on the positives.
The Indian External Affairs Minister, in his remarks during the SCO meet, thanked the Russian Foreign Minister for organizing the meet and reaffirmed India's commitment in the joint fight against COVID-19. The minister also reflected India's readiness to share the information expertise along with the best practices with the SCO member states.
In these circumstances, it is pertinent for SCO member states to jointly identify new ways and means to sustain economic growth.
While India is dealing with best available medical and scientific resources to tackle COVID-19, with crumbling medical infrastructure and healthcare system, Pakistan has still not been able to identify the real digits of COVID-19 cases in the country. With a speedy increase in cases despite the lockdown, Pakistan is one among the worst affected countries in South Asia. Experts warn that crowding, poverty and weak healthcare infrastructure are major challenges to dealing with the pandemic, which has caused over a lakh of deaths across the world.
And with that, we come to the end of this edition of Newsweek South Asia. We will be back next week with more news, views and analysis from the subcontinent. Meanwhile, do keep writing to us at nwsa@anin.com. This is Shreyasa Vijay signing off on the behalf of entire production team of Newsweek South Asia. Goodbye and take care.